Welcome to another one of our interviews, and I want to welcome back Rocky Schuler to Atlas. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, Rocky, you're an attorney, and you're an attorney in the United States. A lot of people are curious about Panama and why Panama is an attractive place for people to come and settle. You just did.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what was some of the main reasons that you decided to do something here in Panama?
Sure. Yeah. So my wife and I have been permanent residents since 2021. We were lucky enough to get in under the Friendly Nations visa, which has had some changes. It's a little difficult now. Still possible, but there's some extra requirements you got to jump through, and we got through before that close date. And then we made the permanent move this year, 2024. And we love it. But so that's how, I guess, specifically we got in. Now the reasons why, whole lot there. But
what were some of the attractive reasons that attracted you to get out of the States and start doing something here in Panama and not, let's say, Colombia or Mexico
or even like Singapore or Dubai or something?
Yeah, the places that they're always recommended.
Absolutely, yeah. So Panama, it's very attractive because it's very close to the United States. I mean, it's closer for me to fly home and visit family than it would be to fly from Los Angeles to New York. You know, it's very close. So going home to Texas is very easy. That's a big factor. It's dollarized. So I do business all over the world, and I have businesses all over the world, and it's always a pain to change, money. It's not so much because it's like actually physically difficult to do, but there's a lot of fees. People don't realize it. And I don't know the legality of it, but the fees are like going up, and nowadays in a lot of countries it seems like you pay a tax. There's like a service tax on changing money, which is insane. So that's a big part of it. Also, culture-wise, it's because the United States was involved in the canal for so long and owned the canal. It's very Americanized, right? Panama is not it's not a Latin country that I would say is so far removed from the United States that you wouldn't feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
It's like going to Miami, is what I hear from my family.
Yeah, well, I'm from Miami. I can tell you, there's very little difference.
Exactly. So culture-wise, it's a fit. I mean, it's very, very easy step. It's a baby step. I tell everybody that. Panama is a baby step for Americans looking at overseas options. So it's not like we didn't change a whole lot of our lifestyle. I wasn't forced to change a lot of things.
Most Americans, I have to say Americans because they're notorious. Most Americans think that South America in general has chickens walking around all over the place.
Yeah.
And that it's basically like that one scene from Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid where they go down to South America.
Yeah.
And what is the reality compared to that?
I mean, Panama City is first world. There is nothing here that you can't get that you would want if you were living in the U.S. I mean, my wife, when we moved here, there are more Prada and
the malls.
Louis Vuitton stores. Yeah, there are more high-end retail stores here than there were in where we lived in Texas, right?
Yeah. And there are high-rises and luxury places everywhere.
There's everything in between. I mean, you could live as poorly or as richly as you wanted in Panama.
You could still find chickens, but you have to go. Go into the countryside.
Yeah, I've never seen a chicken here in the city. That's for sure. Maybe I've seen people selling them, I don't know, in the markets way out, and when you're going into the mountains or something. But yeah, never seen that. I mean, and so we live currently in a planned community, very, very beautiful, clean, quiet.
Yeah.
It's its own kind of little suburb with all the amenities you need for family and whatnot. And I mean, you live in downtown, and you've got everything you need. You got
It's a city
hustle and bustle. You got the financial center. Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing you're wanting for. And then, I mean, 30, 40 minutes outside the city, you got the jungle. If you want to go.
That's true. You can go. You can find a jungle. If you drive an hour away.
And then, I mean, even less in some parts. It depends on where you're at, I guess. If you're in Anaheim, it's not very far.
the thing that I think that most people should be aware of is the tax friendliness of Panama.
Sure. Yes.
And I mean, that's huge.
Yes. Yeah.
And in a world where everything is constantly growing in taxes, the VAT tax,
Yeah.
the incredible, ridiculous sales tax everywhere. How did you find Panama to compare?
So I can only rely on what my CPAs and accountants tell me, but since moving here, because this is our permanent residence and this is where we live and work. Now I work for a U.S. company, but I'm based in Panama. It's my company, right? It's a U.S. company that I'm working under. I qualify for the foreign income exclusion, right? And this is something you got to check with your accountant and CPA,
Sure.
right? But that excludes the first. I think for a family, it's like 180 or 170,000. A married couple. I think for one person it's 150 or something. And then they add a little bit for a married couple. But basically, what that means in practical reality is that the first 150 or whatever it is, $170,000 of income that I generate or my family generates is not counted in the United States for taxes. It's excluded. So it's not a credit. It's not a it's not a whatever the little formula.
Knowing that this is your own particular circumstance and everybody's is different, and you have to have your own tax advice.
Exactly. I'm not saying this is going to qualify for everybody.
It's not tax advice.
But that's an example of some of the benefits you get overseas.
Well, what I want to get to is obviously those are individual tax issues that I don't do anything without talking to my accountant.
I know, me neither.
So
that's right, gotta have a good one.
But what I want to talk about is taxes in Panama are unique.
Sure.
In terms of a business.
Yes.
If you have a business here and you deal with income that has to do with international income,
generated outside of the borders.
Unusual because you don't have to declare it in Panama.
Correct.
That's a very incredible benefit.
Taxation. Yes. So that's the other part of it is the territorial taxation. Panama will not tax income generated outside of its borders.
Yes.
Outside of a few, very particular circumstances.
Exactly. But it is very unique in the world.
Yes. Yeah, and it's
business friendly.
Absolutely. And it's so my holding company is based in Panama. So when we pass through income up to it, it's income generated outside of the borders of Panama. So I think we do pay like whatever the flat annual fees or whatever for the corporation, for the holding company. But frankly, as far as I'm aware, we don't pay any taxes.
No, you don't even have.
I mean, we have the lawyers and accountants that handle that.
And in many cases, you don't even have to report because it's not generated in the country.
Yeah.
If you have employees and you've got to pay all of the local taxes and Social Security and all the things that go with it, but it's very unique.
Yes. Now, what you could do, and what I've done here in Panama, is my U.S. company, so typically my law firm, will hire people here in Panama as independent contractors, as international independent contractors. So my understanding is since it's a U.S. company without a physical footprint in Panama, the company is not responsible for some of those impact fees and whatnot in Panama. But we're still able to pay them and take care of them. So like my driver, my executive assistant here in Panama, they are actually employees of my law firm or contractors of my law firm, I guess technically. Again, you got to go through your accountant.
Yes, I mean everything you've done now, you've gone through experts. You've had your
100%.
You're an attorney, but you probably got an attorney here.
I had multiple attorneys,
and you're dealing with accountants and all of these things you do intelligently,
100%,
and you do them legally.
Yes,
that's what we like to try and get across. There are so many legal available benefits that you can take.
Absolutely.
One of the things that we talk about all the time is there's a tax benefit because of treaties that exist between the U.S. and Panama.
Yes.
The Panama and Switzerland, Panama and Italy.
Yep.
And those are things that I talk about because when people order gold from us and they're from those countries, they don't pay taxes here
Yes.
because of the treaty.
Yes.
There are commercial treaties with so that you can actually buy gold from the U.S., buy gold from Italy, buy gold from Switzerland, and you don't end up having to pay when it comes here.
And it's important to understand they're doing it the right way, and they're doing the paperwork. It's not just we don't pay taxes.
Yes.
Someone told us. It's we actually document it, right?
You can go through a nightmare if you don't. When I say a treaty and you don't pay taxes, it doesn't stand by itself.
Yes, yes.
You have to know the paperwork. You need to have experts that do it right, because if you just bring it in and argue with the customs people, you're going to lose because they don't know about the treaty. So you've got to do it right. You've got to have the paperwork in advance, and be prepared for the people at the local level that won't understand what the treaty is.
100%.
But we've done it many times. And I will say, when it's done by the right people, it comes in and you get that benefit and you save a great deal of money.
Yes, absolutely. Now, in the same vein, one of the other benefits of Panama, too, is the international trade infrastructure here. And I'm not just talking about ports and whatnot, but their legal infrastructure for handling free trade zones, for handling how imports and exports come through, and free trade agreements. So Panama has a free trade agreement with the United States.
Right.
I mean, those are tremendous benefits. And actually, my wife, my wife is involved in product development and imports and exports and product sales. And she's thinking about putting a factory or hiring a factory here in Panama for some of her new products.
Fantastic.
Because of, China, obviously China already has a lot of tariffs. There might be more coming soon.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And then just other geopolitical issues with dealing with China. But Panama has the ports, it has the physical infrastructure, but also the legal infrastructure to be able to allow you in any business to take advantage of that and trade internationally.
It's a very developed country.
Yes. Yeah,
legally, it's very highly developed.
Yes, yes.
And now politically, it's even better because the new government is even more business friendly, and there are new changes coming up where it's going to be even more beneficial.
People are very excited.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of reasons when you think about places where you can go. You can go to Switzerland. You can go to Singapore. Switzerland, I think, is imaginary. It's I don't see anything free about
very
Switzerland.
Expensive.
It's very expensive, but it's also not as free, and it's not private. They're just a lot of the things that they always sold you on Switzerland are not true.
Hasn't been
or
true
at
for
least
30
not
years.
anymore.
Yeah, not for 30 years.
And Singapore. Singapore is on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
It's also very expensive.
Yeah, it is.
And so we've got a lot of options, but they're not the best options.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of options around the world, and you'll have to find the right fit. But there's a lot going for Panama. And I would say also just culturally, you're going to feel very comfortable here for Western, and Americans. And even Europeans,
We have a lot of Europeans here.
Yeah, people, the political issues here that infect the West, right, in the United States and in Europe, and even in Asia, parts of Asia, are not generally important here. Yeah. Right? People just want to be left alone. They have more important problems than worrying about who's invading who in Europe or what the status of Taiwan is.
Right. So when people ask me all the time, why is Atlas Vault in Panama? And I think we're trying to answer that.
Sure.
And for the same reason you came, and the same reason you were looking for an alternative is why I started it here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I didn't want to start Atlas Vault in Miami.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be away from those areas that are subject to these insane fluctuations of political dogma, and more freedom.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I was more concerned about in creating Atlas here in Panama is to have the alternative to the banking system.
Sure. Yeah.
And not be part of that, but at the same time, having what you have as an American going in and saying, I want to have the satisfaction of knowing there's a system that's first world.
Yep.
because
amenities.
Panama's first world.
Absolutely.
Panama City. Now the rest of it, you know.
There are still very nice parts of it. Boquete,
Yes, but I mean, let's there are parts that don't. But you
Sure.
could say that about the U.S.
Yeah, that's right.
You can go to places in the U.S. and think you're in the third world.
Yeah, or along Mississippi Valley.
Yes.
West Virginia.
And even some of New York City looks like the third world right now.
That's right.
So we have to be fair about it.
Sure.
But that's one of the reasons of being here is because there was an economic freedom.
Yeah.
And there is a respect for the privacy. And so we had to the fact that we're a hub.
Yes. 100%. Banking, trade.
And we're also a
transportation,
travel hub.
Yeah.
It's very easy from Panama to go anywhere in the world direct. You can go direct. You can go from here, have a direct flight to Spain, direct flight to Turkey, direct flight to the U.S., direct flight to anywhere in South America,
Argentina, all over.
So it's all of those factors that were important. And then I asked